Hey everyone, welcome back to my video blog where I discuss Azure, data services, and occasionally some professional development. Today we're going to discuss a newer technology in Azure Synapse called Synapse Link and how that service connects you to Cosmos DB. Now, Azure Synapse Link gives us the ability to connect to our operational or transactional database systems to be able to run analytical and machine learning workloads without having to perform some of the traditional ETL and ELT operations for the staging and processing of the data. And it does so without causing a performance impact on the operational database. So now when we think about the way we've set up traditional reporting and analytical systems, oftentimes we'll use an additional node, so we'll use like always on availability groups for SQL and those types of things so that we're not hitting that main transactional system and causing any kind of congestion on those systems, right? Any kind of querying or anything like that can slow down the operational systems, which on the front end slows down the ERP or whatever the system the users are using, would be impacted, right? So when we put it in the reference of Synapse and Cosmos, Link is only supports Cosmos DB at this point as a target, and you can use either the SQL or the Spark pools, but it's safe to assume that over time we will see other databases in the Azure platform that support hybrid transactional analytical processing systems, or HTAP as it's commonly referred to. And we'll expect to see those down the road most likely. And essentially what happens is you turn on the Cosmos DB analytical store in the container that you've set up, and it will auto sync your operational data and store it in columnar format, which is optimal for running analytics against it, right? So from there, the compute pool that you use in Synapse, your choice, right? You can run any of your analytical operations on that data very quickly without causing that impact on performance. Now, this has to be turned on when you create a new container. You can't use an existing container. So if you have an existing container, you'll have to use the Cosmos DB data migration tools to be able to pull that data into your new container that has the analytic option turned on. Now, you might use this when you need to run analytics or machine learning on your data, where you need sort of real-time responsiveness. Now, for instance, maybe you want to break away from having to rely on your traditional batch loading of your data and the data warehouse refresh to make faster decisions on things like, say, supply chain fulfillment or logistics and forecasting. And you can do this with, coupling the Azure ML services to Synapse. Now, perhaps maybe you have an e-commerce site that entails shopper personalization as they make their way through their shopping experience on your site. And you want to be able to offer additional products or services that are aligned with what they already have in their cart or, what they've looked at, pages that they've traversed to and whatnot, right? Another way would be, say you have an IoT scenario and you want to trigger an action that's related to what's happening on your shop floor and in that transactional system to be able to turn off a machine or, any kind of operation there, instead of having to wait for that data to be reported back from that operational system into your existing analytical system. Now, being able to quickly respond to this type of activity and take action much faster than having to wait for reports to update and all that will help reduce the risk of error on the floor or unnecessary costs. And the real power of being able to turn this on is that you're only paying for the compute that you use with the on-demand Spark or SQL pools. So the meter is only running for the data storage, which we know is relatively inexpensive, and the compute for running the query. So let's see what this looks like from a whiteboard, shall we? we're going to start with our operational data system, right? So whether it be some kind of a website or something, right? So we've got data coming in here, right? And so whatever that happens to be, it's coming into our Cosmos container, right? And so we've got our Cosmos container, and this is our operational store, right? So, and essentially, there is a setting inside of the Cosmos configuration that will automatically set it up so this data is in sync with an analytical store, right? By flipping that over, again, you have to do it when you create a new Cosmos DB container. But by flipping that over, you're doing a synchronization between the operational store and the analytical store. And so basically, we're going from a traditional transactional system that everything is read in rows to an analytical system where everything is being stored in columns. Okay, so by making that format change, it allows us for better analytical processing. Columnar storage is more efficient for analytics, and the way it does compression and things like that. And so from there, we are going to use our Synapse resources. Right, so we'll just call this a database for now. But remember, this can be your Spark pools, or it can be a SQL serverless pool. It kind of depends on what the operations are, right? You can use those Spark pools for some machine learning activities and things like that. But within your Synapse environment, without having to create any kind of pipelines or anything like that, you've got your direct connection into this Cosmos DB environment. And then you return back your data, and you can run your processing off it. Now, remember that you can connect into the newly created analytical store, right? But you can also create into an operational store if you so chose, right? So you don't even have to turn on that analytical store if it's sort of low weight activities that you need to run operations on, right? It kind of depends on what your requirements are and how much of an impact running those analytical or machine learning operations are going to have on that transactional system. By turning on this analytical store, you're taking away any of the transactions and any kind of the thrashing that might be happening on the operational store. But if that's not necessary because it's a one-off activity and you don't need to necessarily worry about what the performance impact is going to be, you can connect directly in, if you wanted to, into that operational store. From there, you can take this data and essentially set it up so you can do ML activities, you can do big data activities, so any kind of, massive parallel data processing, whether it be through, again, those Synapse SQL pools or Spark pools, depending on what your preference is there. And of course, you can output this to BI dashboards so you can run reporting off of it. So this should give you a pretty good idea of how the data is flowing. You've got your initial transactions from your user here. They're coming into your operational store, and then the data is flowing. You can tap into it from your Synapse your Synapse compute nodes, and then you can output whatever you need to, whether it be in the form of some sort of trigger or activity or IoT or whatever it happens to be. So definitely an interesting way of looking at it, and hopefully this gives a pretty good visual representation of what we're discussing. Hopefully that was helpful. Now, I want to give a couple of the gotchas around this, right? It's always good to kind of know what we're getting into as we start working with some of these technologies. So the first one is it's only supported with Cosmos DB at this point. As I mentioned, we'll probably see some other HTAP capable database systems down the road, and I'm looking forward to being able to work with some of those as well. But Cosmos is the only one that's supported. And we only support 2 of the APIs currently that are available in Cosmos. So it covers the MongoDB API and the SQL API. So the Gremlin, Cassandra, and Table APIs are not supported yet with Link. Another thing to keep in mind is that at this time, the database container for the analytical store will not be backed up. So the Cosmos operational store is backed up, through its normal process, and that's all, set up the way you do so in the portal. But the analytical store will not be backed up. And so if you do a restore of that database, you have some kind of a failure or you need to revert back to something, the analytical store will not be there. So again, you may have to do some of that data migration in order to get your analytical store turned on within that container. And then the SQL provisioned engine, so the persisted pools, unlike the serverless pools, are no longer or not supported, I should say. And so we'll see that should be a roadmap item, and we'll see what happens with that down the road. So anyway, this is a really cool technology and should really enable some great capability for some of that real-time or near real-time reporting. So hopefully you're able to take advantage of it. In the show notes below, I'm going to put in a couple of really cool tutorials and some overview of what it looks like and sort of what goes along with it. From a configuration and a theoretical standpoint. And so hopefully those are helpful to kind of dig in and check out. Otherwise, appreciate you watching, appreciate all the support, all the likes, subscribers, all that great stuff, the comments, all that stuff's been really, really great. The engagement's fun, really happy to help folks out, and really appreciate all of the subscribers. So thanks a lot for watching and have a great day.